Then he kept the wrong guy. Where's that crew today, Harm? Where's that crew today? We're gonna see him in the chat today? We're gonna see any of them?
No.
Not today. Not today.
And I'll tell you why in anyone else. Hello, Canucks fans. My name is David Quadrelli. Thanks so much for joining us on another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. We are coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Harmon Dial joins me. Our technical producer is Jacob Lazar. Jacob, I'll ask you right off top because I think we've been asking at the end of episodes, how are we doing on Family Feud surveys? We're supposed to play tomorrow.
We are going to play tomorrow, and I'm just pulling up the form. We are at 89 responses.
Okay,
So we need
perfect.
11 more. So I'm assuming those watching on YouTube or
Yeah.
Facebook right now, or even Twitter, I guess, will probably get that out. So if you're on the audio pod, we are good. Hopefully you filled it out already.
Love it. All right, we got a few things to get to today. Canucks practice. Let's lead off with the notes from Canucks practice, Harm. I tweeted out an injury update. We also had one posted on Canucks Army, and then scenes from Morning Skate as well dropped. You and I were both there. I want to talk about the actual contents of practice because we were talking systems yesterday. I want to talk about that a little bit, but just right off the hop, let's get the injury updates out of the way. Good news. Connor Garland is good to go. He was a full participant in practice, and Foote said that he's good to go. So he'll be there tomorrow when they play the Dallas Stars. Derek Forbert's still going to be out for a while. We don't have... He had a setback. Like, that's the easiest way to put it. He had a setback. It didn't seem like it was going to be long-term at all when he originally went out. And he's had some setbacks. So Forbert's still going to be out a while. Nils Höglander, trending toward the 10 end of the original 8 to 10 week timeline that we got. And I think Foote said that we're in like 7.5 weeks. So to me, that means 2.5, 3 weeks. We're going to see Nils Höglander potentially. So that's something to keep an eye on. Speaking of setbacks, Teddy Bluger also had a setback. So he was, again, reminder, last week he was in a non-contact uniform, wasn't at practice today. Foote said he hopes to skate in a few days. So we will see how that goes. No further updates on Hedl, Demko. Again, Patrick Allvin gave updates on those players just a few days ago. So some good news and some bad news for the Canucks on the injury front.
Yeah, nothing really. The one I'm really excited for is Höglander, right? We know Hedl and Demko, those are the most impactful players that are out of lineup right now. But Höglander stands out to me in the sense of just having another 5-on-5 driver in there and having another player that can play with speed, create controlled entries, and give this team a bit of a spark. You have another potential line mate for Elias Pettersson to play with. I'm itching to see Höglander, so I anticipated, just because we haven't seen him practice, that it would still be some time before he's ready. So maybe some point in December is a more realistic timeline for his return, but that's the one I'm most excited for. Obviously, in the interim, the penalty kill is probably a loser in all of this, to know that Forbort and Bluger don't really sound particularly close. And then obviously to have Garland back as a full participant, he's going to be good to go tomorrow against Dallas. That's massive, just as far as having another player in your top six that is actually a legit top six caliber producer, creator, and he skated on a line separate from Elias Pettersson, which I think helps your middle six be more dynamic to create more. And we'll see how that ultimately plays out.
There's so much around the league happening right now that people are flooding the chat with stuff from around the league, which I understand. There's a lot to get to. Today is going to be a long anyone else segment. So let's get to the Pettersson deep dive in a second here, Harm. Before we do that, and before we talk about the contents of Canucks practice, that's the next thing I want to talk about. I want to introduce a new sponsor. Very happy, very proud to be sponsored with them. Movember. This segment is a presentation of Movember. Movember is the leading charity dedicated to changing the face of men's health, because healthier men mean a healthier world. This is the 19th annual campaign for Movember in Canada, raising funds and awareness for men's health across the country. Since 2003, over 6 million people have raised funds for Movember. In 2024, over 47,000 Canadians participated, and the movement continues to grow. Donate at Movember.com today and be a part of changing the face of men's health in Canada. Always happy to support Movember. Great organization. Really happy to have them. Look at this hat they sent me. Really happy to have them as a partner. Welcome to the Canucks Convo family.
For the rest of the
Movember.
month, you should grow out that stash, Quads.
Welcome to Movember. No, I'm not doing that. Remember last year I did that? And it was like we had a long, was it a long weekend? I think it might have been the Remembrance Day long weekend where I had 4 days to grow the mustache, and you could tell a dramatic difference from like Friday to Tuesday or whenever we did the show, and everyone in the chat was giving me crap for it. So I ain't doing that again. I'm not doing that again. That was so bad. Like I need to shave right now.
Great, you got a head start. No
man.
shaving until December 1st.
Dude,
Chat,
okay.
bully him. Bully him.
Hey, you want to see what's in the chat right now? Broke Shinobi. Oh wait, no, not that one. Where'd it go? Yeah, walk. If the Canucks make the playoffs, Harm does a charity beard shave. What do you think about that, Harm?
I don't know about that. The beard is one of the only things that it would probably take a stupid amount of money for me to shave it.
Did you grow your, as I said, we got a lot to get to. We got to stay on track. Did you grow your mustache over COVID? Like when you were wearing a mask all the time? Or your mustache, your beard. Is that when you did it? Okay. That's when my brother did it too. Cause my brother and
last time you were clean shaven, Harm?
Before the pandemic.
Wow.
See, that's the thing. If I could wear a mask everywhere and not have to really leave my house or whatever, I'd be okay. Cause my brother and I both, we can grow our facial hair, but it takes a while and there's a really awkward phase, and I'm on camera every day. Maybe over the off season I'll get a beard going, but
I don't believe that you can grow a full beard.
No, I don't. It grows right here. And for those on the podcast, I'm pointing to like the chin strap. Like I get nothing here. Anyways. Yeah. People want me to put on a fake mustache. Stop it. I'm not hosting Feud again. I'm not doing that again. All right, let's get into it. Sorry. Erwin Aquino in the chat. Is Quads of legal age to grow a stash? I like still getting these comments once in a while about people saying I look young. They're fewer and far between as I get older, which I don't know how I feel about that. But anyways, let's go. Let's get to Canucks practice. Harm, we were talking about systems. Again, they gave up way too many goals in Florida, and really on that road trip, just too many chances, and a big emphasis on defending. Adam Foote stopped practice a couple times to share some thoughts with the group. There was one point where he blew the whistle and said, "We need to effing defend hard." And hey, preach, brother, preach. Like he's bang on. They need to defend hard. A big emphasis on net front stuff, like getting under sticks instead of over top, and letting the forward in front of the net kind of have free reign of where he wants to go with deflecting the puck. So a big focus on defense. It didn't quite feel like Rick Tockett's first week of practices upon being hired, where he was like, no, this is where it looked like we made fun of them quite a bit. We said, like, this looks like an Adam practice. This looks like children learning how to defend for the first time. It wasn't quite at that level, but definitely a big emphasis on coaching today.
Yeah, and it's understandable because this compressed schedule has limited the number of practices that the Canucks have been able to have, especially because they've had a road-heavy schedule to begin the campaign. And if you're a new head coach, as Adam Foote is, and you're trying to change the way this team plays, it's not ideal to have such little practice time available to you. And it makes it difficult. It feels like the games even pass by so quickly. So if you have a couple of rough outings defensively, you don't have much time to really reflect, to process that, to go over some of that tape with your players, and to really implement that into the next game, because there's such a quick turnaround between your last game and your next one. This is where to have a couple days off before Thursday's game is a really important reset, especially against the Stars team that has been red hot recently. They had a stretch at 5-on-5 where they were really struggling to generate 5-on-5 offense. They had Matt Duchene out of the lineup. They had Rope Hintz out of the lineup. They just looked slow as a team. They're still not, I'd say, at the elite offensive level we're accustomed to seeing them click at, but these are still the Dallas Stars. It's going to be a tough test. And I'm curious to see how many of the weekend errors they can start to clean up. A guy like David Kampf, who's going to play high leverage defensive minutes for them on the PK and at 5-on-5. This is his first practice. And we saw against Florida, there were a number of instances where he was running out of position, and you could tell, all right, this is a player that is playing his first NHL game since May 2024 or whatever it was when he last suited up for the Leafs. It's been a while. And so you hope that he's more comfortable in those minutes and can help steady the ship defensively. Plus, you hope just having a couple of days off can help refresh some of your veteran defensemen like Myers and Marcus Pettersson, who have taken on a significant workload and who have struggled over the last few weeks.
Everyone's dealing with a condensed schedule, but it is going to be really nice for this Canucks team to just have a chance to breathe. Again, they're at home. Like it is a good chance for them to just, reset a little bit. Again, they play tomorrow, then they play Sunday, and then they have another few days off before their next game, Wednesday against the Anaheim Ducks. So that's going to be really nice. That's going to be really, really nice for them to kind of just be at home, few days off at home. I was looking at the Canucks media schedule that they provide for us, and I'm pretty sure I read that there's like 2 or 3 off days this month. It's been crazy. It's been really, really crazy. Like I'm talking true days off where like there's no practice, there's nothing for the players to do. You just stay away from the rink and you just get a chance to reset. They've only had like 2 of those. So good chance for them. And hey, for all the talk about a practice facility, all of their practices have been at Rogers Arena so far. Am I right about that? I don't think they've been at UBC yet this year.
I think so, but I can't remember September and early October.
I think they're probably going to have to do UBC at some point next week. I think the reason they haven't had to use UBC is because the practices are so few and far between. There's only been like 2 at home, right? They've used other teams' practice facilities for practice, but there's been so few practices at home that it hasn't really been an issue this year. But anyways, we're not going to rehash practice facility stuff. We know practice facilities are used for more than just the sheet of ice and practicing, but we're not going to rehash that right now. Anything else you want to say about today's practice? Jiri Patera's black skate setup looks dynamite. Love it.
I wasn't keeping that close of an eye on it. What did you like about it?
It's black. I liked the
Oh,
mask.
thanks. I couldn't have guessed that it was black.
The mask has the black skate logo. It's pretty generic, I guess. I don't know. I just like it. I think it's cool that Jiri Patera has a black skate setup.
Yeah, he probably never would have guessed that when he realized at the start of training camp that he was the 5th goaltender on the depth chart or something.
Who's the cutoff where you don't get the call from the equipment staff? Because we've heard this story that, hey, we have a black skate jersey, you need another setup or you need another set of gear, because they tell guys that when they get traded or when they sign, all that sort of stuff. They always tell the goalies that. Who's the cutoff? Like, is Jonathan Lemieux getting that call? Like, Ty Young must have a black skate setup somewhere, right? Like, he must just have it.
Yeah, probably
waiting.
I was gonna say it was probably Ty Young. Like, Young, Patera are the last 2 guys to get it, I would think.
Tolopilo obviously has one.
Yeah, Tolopilo definitely would.
Tolopilo's had one for years.
Yeah.
Wonder if Lemieux's the guy.
Okay, we don't need to talk about Jonathan Lemieux's black skate setup.
I mean, I will say though,
talking about the existence of it. Does it exist?
But what I will say is I was going through for a different reason, looking back at the first time they wore these black skate jerseys. You know who started in net for that game with a full black skate setup? Was Colin Delia.
Yes.
And then I think Spencer Martin started the next game, and they both had black skate gear. Now, at the time, obviously, they were both in the NHL, but there you go. If you
Those names are bringing back bad memories.
Hey, speaking of Colin Delia, do you want to talk about JT Miller right now, or should we save it? You want to save it?
Let's save it. Let's save it.
Okay. All right. Nothing else from practice?
Nope.
Then let's do it. You've been itching for this one, Harm. It is the Elias Pettersson deep dive, and it is brought to you by our friends at Greta, a great spot for all games, home and away. You can skip the line and not have to pay cover on game nights if you're wearing the home team's gear. And of course, there's also the game day specials at Greta, including $3.33 off select food items, $3.33 for select drinks, and more. With the arcade, bar, and street food menu, make Greta your spot for the next game. 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. Take it away, Harm.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a bigger sort of zoomed out conversation on where Pettersson's game is at the quarter mark of the season, and this whole conversation of how back is he. There are so many different observations and angles that we can take this from. There are about 5 or 6 things that I want to talk about. But the first one that I want to make a note of is just how impressed I've been by his give a bleep meter this year. I really feel with the way that he's laying his body out on the line, sometimes even recklessly, where you want him to maybe be a little bit more careful to block shots.
Yeah.
Battling down low defensively, just his overall effort level away from the puck especially has been phenomenal. It's been first class. And it's not to say that he wasn't trying or didn't care last year, but this is a different level of urgency, desperation, and care level to his game. And I think that's really important to earn the respect of your teammates in that locker room. I bet you when you're an $11.6 million player and you're going through the offensive struggles that he was last year, it's one thing if you're struggling offensively and then your work rate is fine, but it's nothing exceptional, right? Let's not forget that at times last year, whether it was Rick Tocchet or Patrick Allvin, we were still talking about practice habits and stepping up as a leader and bringing it not just on the ice, but away from the rink. We were having these conversations where at times we were going, are we talking about a veteran here? Or are we talking about a 19, 20-year-old that's learning his way through the league? Compare the level of respect that probably garners in the dressing room. Whereas when you see Pettersson this year, the way that he's sacrificing defensively, especially when you've built your career on being more an offensive presence and an elite producer that way, to care that much away from the puck, that earns the respect of your teammates. And it matters moving forward because now, even if Pettersson has stretches where the points don't come, again, there's going to be a different level of respect that his teammates have that, hey, this guy, maybe he's not always living up to his massive cap hit production wise, but he's given his 110% every night. He's leading by example. And when you think about the future direction of this Canucks, and we don't know whether Quinn Hughes is going to stay long-term or not. We don't know whether this team is still going to be in a win now window, or whether they're going to transition to a retool or rebuild. If it ends up being some kind of retool or rebuild, you want the players that are still on your team, the veterans, to be guys that the young players can learn from, to be positive role models and examples. And I think that's the first thing that Pettersson deserves credit for, is he's really leveled up the urgency, the desperation, and just the overall professionalism of his game.
Yeah, and you know what? I brought this point up to you the other day where I was just like, I don't really understand people like, well, you can't rebuild if you have Elias Pettersson. And I know that's not where you're trying to take the conversation, and we're not going to go too far down that road, but it's like the Elias Pettersson that's given a bleep right now, the way he is. And I don't even want to say, do you agree with me that the practice habit stuff and the give a bleep stuff was maybe a little bit overblown in recent years?
Perhaps.
I think it
clearly,
was an excuse.
whether you believe it or not, last year the organization clearly wasn't happy with his commitment level.
Yeah.
Now, as a fan or as a media member, you may not fully agree with the organization's angle and their perception of it, but the fact remains that there was so much extensive reporting about how clearly the organization felt that part of the reason he struggled last year was because they felt that he didn't prepare properly the previous summer. And when it becomes a talking point, you have your organizational leaders, Patrick Allvin, you have Rick Tocchet consistently speaking on these things. It's just not a good look.
Yep, that's fair. That's very fair. Okay, continue.
And okay, so we've got that element. That's a definite positive. I'd say from an offensive standpoint, recently we've seen in the stretch where he's had 4 multi-point games in a row that he's decisively finishing plays off the rush, and not necessarily off of sequences where he's waltzing through the neutral zone with a ton of speed, pushing defenders on their heels and doing it all by himself. But for instance, you look at the 2 goals he scored against the Florida Panthers off the rush, finishing a chance like that on the first one where Evander Kane makes a pass across to him, the backhand goal as well, but then also the shorthanded snipe against the Carolina Hurricanes. Those are the flashes of the decisive finishing that I think will give him more confidence as a shooter, as a finisher. It's massive. And then even just the assertiveness against Tampa, the assist he had on Jake DeBrusk's goal, the move to take Yanni Gordon one-on-one. I think he's trusting his stick handling more too, to try and beat guys one-on-one. Whereas it felt like last year he was slow, he was awkward, clunky, trying to deke around players. There were countless examples last year of he's trying to beat a player one-on-one, whether it's along the boards in the offensive zone or in the neutral zone. And it felt like it was happening at half speed. And those attempted dekes were getting stripped, were getting picked off really easily. I can see it starting to form. I'm not saying it's back to the level it was at his peak, but you're seeing the sparks of it. And that's really encouraging. In terms of what I still want to see more of from him, it is interesting that at 5-on-5, his individual shot rate is still very low. He's under 4 shots per hour at 5-on-5, which is actually a lower rate than he was shooting the puck at 5-on-5 last year. And it's about half of where it was at during his peak 102 point season. So you still want to see him find ways to attack more. But I'm also curious to see how much of that could shift now that his deployment could be freed up a little bit with David Kampf taking on some of the more defensive zone starts.
That's a really interesting aspect of it all. And I mean, we've only seen one game. Did you actually have the numbers on that, on how different it was in one game? Because I actually should have looked it up, but I didn't. Did you see how many D zone starts he had compared to even just the game before?
I can look it up right now. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head.
Go for it while I read some things from the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah, we've got a few things in here. A lot about JT Miller. Obviously, when you bring up Elias Pettersson, naturally these two players are going to be linked. Really, I don't know if I should say for the rest of their careers, but certainly this season, even Rangers fans, you see them on Twitter right now saying, we traded for the wrong guy. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have about Elias Pettersson because he's done so many things right away from the puck. And I think the interesting thing about Pettersson that people noticed at the start of the year was, I don't want to call him snake bitten, but certainly he was doing good things at the start of the year as well. The point production is now just starting to follow. Do you agree with me? Maybe a little bit snake bitten for Elias Pettersson?
Yeah, likely. And maybe not even him, but just his line as a whole. The rate at which they're generating expected goals for has seen a significant uptick compared to last year. And for a long while, there was a discrepancy where Pettersson's line's actual goals for rate was trailing his expected rate. And usually that's a sign that, all right, you're creating looks, you're generating chances as a line, but pucks aren't going in, and you're more likely to, if you continue producing shots and chances like this, to get more of those results as the season goes along. And absolutely, I think we've seen some of that positive regression lately.
Did you have those face-off numbers now?
Yeah, so 7 D-zone starts against the Florida Panthers. David Kampf also had 7. So
I literally know that's lower. That's certainly lower. Didn't he have 13 the game before?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the Tampa numbers right now.
I'm pretty sure it was 13.
15.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, sorry. Those are defensive zone faceoffs. Defensive zone starts were 8. So not really a huge difference yet, but I imagine as Kampf gets more reps in, and once he proves to the coaching staff that, hey, you could trust me.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big variable in this as well, is if David Kampf takes a while to shake off the rust, then you're not going to want to throw him to the wolves right out of the gate.
Anything else on Pettersson that you wanted to get in there?
Yes, a couple more things. We've spent a lot of time in the past referencing the NHL Edge data for both his skating speed and his shot velocity. And I think this is the perfect encapsulation of how I describe Pettersson compared to last year and compared to where he was at in that 102 point season, which is he's halfway back with the potential to, as he heats up, get closer and closer to being the elite difference maker he's been at his best. Where last year you would look at him and say is more performing at the level of a second line center, whereas now looking at the point production and especially in context of the matchups he's faced, you're looking at him as, all right, he's performing like a first line center, maybe more low end than high end, but it's notable improvement compared to last year. And so with the speed bursts and shot velocity, starting with the speed bursts, last year he was basically right around league average in terms of how many times he was skating faster than 20 miles per hour. This year he's in the 71st percentile, which is a nice improvement. Now, at his best, he was at the 89th percentile. So he's not all the way back, but a step in the right direction for sure. And then with the shot velocity as well, last year he only had 25 shot attempts all season long that eclipsed 80 miles per hour. This year he's already at 11. And so we know it's November 19th, and he's almost at halfway the number of shots above 80 miles per hour that he had for all of last season. So that's a step in the right direction. But again, when he was at his best, you look at some of the stuff, and this is a reminder that, all right, he's not all the way back yet. In the 2022-23 season, he had 110 shot attempts that were clocked at 80 miles per hour or faster. 110. Now, part of that is he was shooting the puck a lot more then, but even on a percentage basis, it was 53% of his shots were at that velocity, whereas he's still at about 33% there. So still room to come back, but you're starting to see some of the physical attributes return to form. You
should ask him about it, about his NHL Edge data.
I'll wait, probably closer to the middle of the season. The last thing that I think we should talk about, and this is really not a negative, but an area where I look at as, all right, there's still more juice left for him to give. I'd say his two-way play driving metrics probably aren't as high caliber as you'd like them to be, right? So this year with Pettersson on the ice, Canucks have controlled about 44% of shot attempts and 46% of scoring chances. So they've been outshot and outchanced by fairly wide margins, and that impact has been felt on the scoreboard too. The last 11 games, they've actually been outscored despite his recent point production. They've been outscored 9-4 during Pettersson's 5-on-5 shifts. And I understand the natural pushback is going to be, well, look at all the D zone starts, look at all the matchups, but I don't think that alone can explain how much he's been caved in. Like, even if you look at, there are 332 forwards in the NHL this year who've played at least 155 and 5 minutes. Pettersson's on-ice shot attempts against rate is the 6th worst among all NHL forwards, and his expected goals against rate is also very high. So they are giving up a lot of shots. They are giving up a lot of chances. And again, people will say, oh, the D-zone starts and the tough matchups. And that's true to some extent. But you look at Mikhail Backlund in Calgary, for example. Backlund has had more defensive zone starts than Elias Pettersson this year. He's also had tougher defensive matchups than Pettersson in terms of playing against the opposition's top lines. So this is a player statistically, factually playing harder assignments in minutes than Elias Pettersson. And you look at Backlund's underlying numbers, and it's the Flames are by very wide margins out shooting and out chancing their opponents, and his defensive metrics are some of the best in the NHL. They're near Selke caliber. And even like this whole conversation around the D-zone starts thing as well. There have been actual studies on this. They don't suppress your analytics as much as you'd expect, because the majority of player shifts are on the fly,
Yeah.
right? So Pettersson's had almost 400 5-on-5 shifts this year. Only 68 of them have been defensive zone starts, which represents less than 20%, actually less than 19% of his overall 5-on-5 shifts this year. He's actually had more neutral zone starts than he has defensive zone starts. And even if you look at the discrepancy, he's at 52 O zone starts and compared to 68 D zone starts. So it's not as if he's at 80 D zone starts and 10 O zone starts. I think the overall point that I'm trying to make is he's held up well defensively. He's done an admirable job, but we're not talking about Selke anywhere near Selke level results. And it feels like people have been talking, like gassing him up as, oh, he's taking on the tough minutes and he's playing like a Selke centerman. He's held up well. He's holding his own, but there's still room for him to really take over at 5-on-5 more decisively as a two-way play driver. And that's where, to help that process, I go back to what I mentioned on yesterday's show, that I'd like to see Adam Foote maximize the number of shifts Pettersson and Quinn Hughes play at 5-on-5 together.
Someone tweeted this at both of us, I think. I think it was Sapster. Hold on, let me make sure I go find it. I got a lot of Twitter notifications right now because I tweeted out the injury update today. Let me scroll and find this. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Karm Bassi on Twitter tagged us in it and wanted us to dive on it. The 5-man unit of Evander Kane, Elias Pettersson, Connor Garland with Hughes and Hronek, 85.64 expected goals for percentage, 79.17 scoring chance for percentage, 86.67 high danger chance for percentage.
The sample size is tiny.
Yeah, 1349 is
yeah. So I'd be careful about really putting stock into that. And I saw some people flaming Foote that, oh, does that mean that the Hughes pair has barely played with the Pettersson pair? It's actually not that bad at all. It's been, I did the math looking at natural stat trick. About 41% of Pettersson's 5-on-5 minutes have overlapped with Quinn Hughes, which is pretty normal. It's not looking at that as Adam Foote has not been playing them enough together. It's, I just want to see even more of it and have that number be closer to the 50, maybe in 55% range, the way you see the overlap between Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard, for instance. Because you look at the goal against Florida, for example, that Pettersson had, it started with Quinn Hughes jumping up the ice, turning it into an odd man scenario, helping that line's puck transportation, and then it's Pettersson that benefited finishing that play off. That's the other thing I'd say is Pettersson is showing more flashes off the rush, but it's what I mentioned at the start of the segment. It's finishing plays off. It's not that he's the one that's speeding through the neutral zone and pushing defenders on their heels. It's that he's showing a great finishing ability when his line as a whole is attacking and generating controlled entries. And when Quinn Hughes and Pettersson are on the ice at the same time, that's where Quinn's explosiveness, carrying pucks up the ice and activating in transition, it makes Pettersson's finishing ability more dangerous. Whereas when any other D pair is on the ice, they don't have that same level of dynamic transportation ability. And because outside of when Connor Garland is playing on that line, they don't have a winger that can create a lot of controlled entries. It feels like in those situations, maybe Pettersson's line isn't creating as much off the rush.
I had a question for you from Mike in the Valley. He said, Harm, is there an easy way to compare matchups across players? I tried in natural stat trick and it's very tedious.
So you can look at hockeystatcards.com. They have a feature where if you go to their skater section and then they have a usage players table, you can sort through players around the league and have a gauge of how difficult their quality of competition has been, the quality of teammates, and it also give you a bunch of data on D-zone starts, how many shifts on the fly. I'd say that's really useful. Normally, one of my favorites is also Puck IQ, but Puck IQ doesn't update its data until about the halfway point in the season. So if you go on Puck IQ right now and try searching up their matchup data, you'll get results for last year. There's nothing for this season. So Hockey stat cards for now. Puck IQ is also a good alternative for the second half of the season once their database is updated.
I also had a few people reach out to me yesterday. I plugged a book that was a good thing about hockey systems that I read. It's called The Hockey Playbook. It's from 2005. The Hockey Playbook, Teaching Hockey Systems by Michael Smith. I found it on Amazon last night because a bunch of people asked me about it, and I said I couldn't remember the title. That's the one I'm talking about. Big book, big paperback book. It's a good one. It's a good one. I really enjoyed it. It was a good read. People should read it, and people should read about hockey systems. And there's a lot out there. That's obviously not the only one, but it makes you understand the game more. It makes you smarter when talking about the sport. Well, it's supposed to. Hasn't worked for me, but when you have conversations with players and stuff, just knowing when they use terminology, for example, you kind of know what they're talking about, and it's helpful. It's helpful. And Conversation in the chat said, read Jack Hand's book about hockey systems. Very helpful. Okay, there's another recommendation. Ready for anyone else?
For sure.
Let's get to anyone else, which is a presentation of Pacific Toyota Dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. You can drive up to 72 kilometers in the battery alone, then seamlessly transition from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. There's no sacrifices when it comes to horsepower style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior. It's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. You can plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charge stations in BC alone. And now you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right, the JT Miller clip heard around the world. I woke up today and all of my Twitter feed was Rangers fans furious with JT Miller. He's playing all the hits right now. The point totals are low. He's talking about how I don't judge my game based on point totals, and not to kick a guy while he's down. I'm going to try to cool it a bit, but play the clip, Jacob. Play the clip. This is the one that's going viral. Turns over the puck in that game against the Vegas Golden Knights. Gives up on the play. Vegas scores. The only thing that was missing from this was him pointing to the guy that took the puck from him. It was bad. It was a bad look, especially for a captain. It was a question we had heading into the year. It's like, okay, when things go poorly, what's his body language going to be like? And to this point, it was good, but there it is. That's what everybody was kind of waiting for in Vancouver. And now all the Rangers fans are seeing it.
Yeah. And look, it'd be one thing where on that play, he wasn't the first forward back. So he doesn't actually have a center's responsibilities in that sequence. He's technically now taken on the role of a winger defensively. But the problem is you have two Vegas Golden Knights players along the boards. Zibanejad, who is now assuming the responsibilities of the center in that sequence, is engaged in that battle. JT's providing support there. Once you commit to that battle, you've got to follow your check and ensure that you don't get outnumbered in that scenario. First, JT cheats to the wrong side, thinking that he's got an opportunity to get clean puck possession and carry it out of the zone and get on the counter. And then in that sequence, once Vegas comes out of it, to just give up is you can't do that.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
It's
when
unacceptable.
You're a captain.
And again, I understand that. Hey, if you're a winger normally in that situation in the D zone, your responsibility is the point, and technically a guy driving into the slot isn't your responsibility. But again, it's the context of there were two Vegas players along the boards there. So it doesn't matter if you're technically now the carrying the winger's responsibilities in the D zone. There are two Vegas attackers along the boards. You're that second defensive forward supporting that battle. You've got to follow your check. You've got to ensure that there's no easy lane to the net. And it's part of the lows with JT Miller's game.
It's such a bad look. That's the only thing is that I keep coming back to. Is it's just a really, really bad look. And again, the raw point totals are really bad right now for JT. Someone did a list of which Canucks are outscoring him right now. He's at 10 points on the season through 21 games. And look, the thing is we heard they traded the wrong guy, but like at the time, anybody who was asked about, like, would you trade JT or would you trade Elias Pettersson? And that's oversimplifying what actually happened in this situation. It wasn't as simple as the Canucks picking one, and we always pointed that out. But if it were that simple, the answer is always the guy who is 32, like, signed long term. And people, as much as people complain about Philip Hedel's health, it's like they got an asset to get off of that contract. And that was a good, like, that was a win. That was a win.
It's a lose-lose trade so far, anyway. It's a trade that hasn't worked out for either side, but you're absolutely right in the sense that I remember polling a number of execs around the league.
Yeah,
What
seriously.
should the Canucks do with this dilemma? And even the execs that love JT Miller and said, I would rather, if I had to play in a playoff series right now, if I had to pick one guy, I would rather JT Miller on my team. Even those executives said, as much as I like JT Miller, the player, the other guy is way younger, and I have a lot more faith in him living up to his contract long term as opposed to JT Miller. Now, for the Rangers, the $8 million cap hit, it's not ideal right now, but it's not going to kill them in a rising cap world. But still, it clearly hasn't worked out for either team. The other thing with JT is he quite clearly looks hurt, right? We remember that he got hurt in camp and preseason, and this is part of the issue for JT as well. Is he's been a durable player in the sense that his games played totals have usually been very high. He's rarely missed games because of injury, but he's a guy that over his career has played through a ton of knocks, and now that he's well into his 30s, he strikes me as a player that is likely going to be nursing knocks and bruises and bumps more often than not. And that's a problem because when he's not 100% healthy, you see that his ability to really move the needle and make a difference starts to dwindle.
Spatzley with a super chat. I love this. This is good. 279 super chat. He said, "This is PD Defender Stanley Cup." People are having a good time with this one for sure. Thank you for the super chat. We had another super chat that I wanted to get to. It came earlier in the show when you were doing your PD deep dive. It is from a user with the GoldenEye as their logo. I like that as your profile picture. Said Nucks could draft Tynan Lawrence at 5th if the draft was right now. You love to see it. I don't know who that is, but I'll take your word for it.
He's a center projected to go in the 3 to 6-ish range,
and
probably close
top line guy.
4, 5,
Is he saving the franchise?
I haven't done a deep dive on him, so I don't want to make any bold declarations, but
5'11".
I believe this year's draft class is unique in the sense that there aren't many centers projected to go super high. So if you miss out on this guy, chances are you're not going to get a center. Now, it doesn't matter too much in the sense that this organization just needs to add more elite talent, period. And if you end up drafting in the top 10, then just take the best player available. Don't end up reaching for a center, especially because you now have a really talented one in Braden Coots in the system. But yeah, Lawrence is the only center in that 2 to 6, 7-ish range that would be available as of now.
5'11".
Okay. All right.
Elite
Logan
prospects
Cooley,
list him at 60.
was listed at 5'10" in his draft class.
How tall is he now?
He's now 6 feet.
Yeah.
He actually grew a couple inches.
Yeah, like you got to keep in mind, we're talking about 17-year-olds here. They're not done growing yet. If you're 5'11" at 17, you might end up.
Connor Bedard is what, 5'11"?
Yeah, are you saying he's Connor Bedard? No.
Oh, he's 5'10".
Yeah, I don't know. And Jacob, that's not always true. Sometimes you're done growing at 17, 18.
If your name is David Quadrelli, is that the case? Or?
You know who else is? Quads would have been like hearing the name in 2018. Quinn Hughes looked up his hockey DB page and gone, "Oh, he's 5'10". I don't want this guy. Give me Evan Bouchard, who's I love this 6'2", 6'3", or Noah Dobson 6'2", 6'3". I don't want the 5'10" guy.
Do you remember Brian Burke's "That's a small body, gentleman"?
Yeah,
Quote? Yeah. That I at the time I was like, "You're right, Berkey. You're absolutely right."
of course you were. Meanwhile,
Right.
I was doing cartwheels that he was even available.
No, I was too. I was too. I was too. He was supposed to go top 3.
Stop
Like,
lying.
no, I was excited. Everyone was excited about Quickies. Come on, everyone. There's not one person. As soon as you realized, and this was me at least, as soon as you realized that the Canucks were either going to get Philip Zadina or Quinn Hughes at the time, you were ecstatic.
Yeah.
Thank God that it was Quinn Hughes that was available to them, because they were going to take whichever one of those guys didn't go. Because as soon as Barrett Hayton got selected, you were like, oh my goodness, this is great news for the Canucks. And everybody likes Quinn Hughes. Everybody liked Quinn Hughes in this draft year. Stop.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona was the closest. It was the team closest to taking Quinn in that draft class. It was between Hayton and Quinn.
Amina A, are you guys shorter than Connor Garland? No, Connor Garland is like my height, if not like an inch shorter.
Yeah, I'm
You're
a
taller.
few
than
inches
Connor
taller than him.
Garland.
Yeah.
And hey, Connor Garland plays with a lot of heart. Okay. Conversation. Quad sounds like the kind of guy who would have drafted Caden Lindstrom over Demidov. What else is in the chat here? Let's see. Oh yeah, Rochcraft. Wasn't the real mistake trading Bo over JT Miller? Yeah, absolutely. Like in hindsight, yeah, it doesn't come down to Pettersson or Miller. There was actually a decision made on Miller over Horvat. Like that was an actual decision that the organization made and that they had to make. So yeah, you're right.
True, but also I didn't hear anybody saying that when JT put up 103 points and was their best forward, leading them to the division win. Meanwhile, Bo was playing well, but wasn't producing anywhere near JT's level. Yeah, and in that, I mean, he actually had a decent year in that 2023-24 campaign, 68 points, but that's nothing compared to the 103 JT had. Even last year, 57 points for Bo. He's off to a great start now, and you'd love to still have him within the organization, obviously. But it's a bit tricky to say.
That's total hindsight. It's total hindsight. Yeah. I was trying to make that clear.
There are times when both things have felt true. There are times when Canucks fans have had an argument to say they picked the right guy and to say they picked the wrong guy.
All right. Dueling hat tricks last night from the two kids from Vancouver, who obviously are both coming to Vancouver to win the Canucks a cup one day, but we are seeing dueling hat tricks. No empty netter for one of them, but Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard both with hat trick. Celebrini completing his hat trick with an overtime victory against the Utah Mammoth. Like, these guys are here, and it's naturally going to segue into a conversation about Team Canada. But these guys are amazing. Like, it is such a good time for the sport of hockey. Like, I keep saying this. You have the old guard, you still have Ovechkin playing, you still have Crosby playing, you've got Malkin, you've got all these the old guard still around. Then you've got kind of the middle guys, like you've still got McDavid, who's been in the league for 10 years. That makes me feel old. And then you've got these guys who were like infants when COVID happened, and you're seeing them lighting up the league right now. Like, Connor Bedard's got 10 goals in his past 10 games. This is awesome.
It's amazing. And not just the old guard, the Crosby, Ovechkin, but you look at how many points Malkin has put up. He's on almost 100-point pace. It's honestly similar to the NBA, where this is a really special transitional golden age where you have the last generation still cooking at an elite level. You have the young stars coming through, playing at a legitimate superstar level. And it's just fun seeing the two generations mold together, where in the NBA, you've got Victor Wembanyama just destroying dudes and showing that he's the future of that league. But then you've still got Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and LeBron just made his season debut last night. They're still operating at an elite level too. It's a special era in both the NHL and the NBA in that sense, where the generational talents are still are still doing generational things, and you've got the next wave becoming must-watch TV.
Erwin Aquino in the chat said, I have a Sid and Ovi poster in my bedroom, generation of player. That's where we're at right now.
Well, it's gonna be sad. I'm not ready for when Sid retires, for when Ovechkin retires, for when in the NBA Kevin Durant was my favorite player, for when he retires, when there's no more LeBron, when there's no more Curry. And all of those guys are probably going to retire around the same window. That's going to be a very, very strange feeling for me.
I agree. I've been getting called Unk lately a lot, and that's not going to help. That's not going to help. Team Canada. Both these guys have to be there. I feel like we agreed on that like 2 weeks ago. It's just like map out the team. It's kind of hard. It's easy to say like, oh, this player's great. He needs to be there. There's so many to choose from. And we talked about roles. I will say like Max Celebrini and Connor Bedard both have strong enough two-way games. I would think that they can both be there.
Yeah. And I think it's probably not great news for Mark Scheifele because Scheifele, he's playing really well this year too. 27 points in 19 games, but Scheifele and Bedard are a little bit similar, where I imagine Team Canada looks at them and goes, they're not necessarily the best defensive players. They aren't the most natural fits in a bottom six role, but they're ultra talented offensively and have been putting up some of the best offensive numbers in the league. Scheifele was obviously left off the Four Nations team last year. I imagine he had a massive chip on his shoulder. And if it wasn't for Bedard and Celebrini doing what they're doing, I imagine that he probably would have had a decent chance of making this Canadian Olympic team. Now to see that Bedard and Celebrini are coming as well, that's probably not great news for Mark Scheifele.
Hey, did we get an update on Seth Jarvis?
I don't know.
Okay, he's like day to day. Okay, so he'll be there. I was bringing it up because I'm like, okay, like, is there any spots becoming available? Speaking of which, for Team USA, Charlie McAvoy out with no timetable for a return after undergoing surgery. That's a big loss. Like, that is a big loss for Team USA. McAvoy arguably having one of the best years of his career too.
I wouldn't go that far. He's played well, but I actually want to look up his numbers because yeah, I don't think he's been outrageously good. He's not a guy that I looked at as an early Norris candidate, but no doubt that he's the number one defenseman in Boston. And it's more a really tough break for Bruins team that surprisingly has been at the top of the Atlantic Division table. And now they're having to go through another year without their number one defenseman because McAvoy after Four Nations last year wasn't with them either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jarvis played versus the Bruins. Okay, and Oilers. Okay, he's fine. People in the chat are pointing out that Jarvis played. I didn't watch the next Carolina Hurricanes game. Like I said before the show, that was my first Hurricanes game to watch. Anything else with the Olympic conversation? Like, I don't know. The barbecue injury, Luosterainen, that really sucks. Like, I don't know, man. The freak accidents are crazy. You saw Jack Hughes, and now this one as well. And for those that don't know, he's out. Eetu Luosterainen, that is with the Panthers. He's out with barbecue. Like, did he get burned? That must.
I don't know the details of it.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna try to find this.
I would assume that a barbecue-related injury probably has to do with a burn. How else are you going to injure yourself on a barbecue?
Propane tank falls on your toe.
Maybe lid falls on your hand. Although that
I'm not trying to
just lead to a
jokes.
burn. But yeah.
We don't know what happened with the barbecue, but it was a barbecue accident. So yeah. Okay, I think it was a burn because Paul Maurice said when he comes back and feels comfortable with the equipment on him, away we go. But I don't know. Who knows? You never know. Yeah, that sucks. It just sucks. All right. Anything else from either of you?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. Don't make jokes about burns, man. I know neither of you were, but I'm saying to the chat, don't make jokes about barbecues and burns. bad karma. Don't do that. Won't hear me doing it. What did I say for the bet yesterday, Jacob? What did I say? Was I right?
I think you picked
The Leafs
bet
won
on
an
the Leafs?
OT.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You Blues to win.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Tonight, I don't like anything on the NHL slate. Is there a football game tonight? No.
Nope, it's Wednesday.
Oh, basketball. All right.
Is this Quad's first
Oh my
basketball
god.
Yep. That's right.
I really want to see Quad's attempt to talk about the NBA.
Buddy, Steph Curry's awesome. Last I checked, the Miami Heat suck. Warriors are plus 320 underdogs.
They played last night. The Warriors played last night.
Yeah.
That's why.
Warriors, you heard
And
it
they
here
lost.
first. My Warriors coming back strong tonight. What's his name? Steph Curry? Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't lose twice in a row. That doesn't happen.
Let me ask you. Because I'm curious to see if you actually know him.
Yep.
Who's the Warriors' new co-star?
Draymond Green?
No, I said new co-star.
Oh, Klay Thompson's not there anymore.
Oh my god.
Splash Brothers. I know the Splash Brothers.
You're talking about
I know-
a decade ago.
Dude, NBA 2K16, one of the best games of all
Alright,
time.
answer
Hang
the
on.
question.
I'll
I'll give you a hint. if you don't know. But you have to.
Is
guess
he
first.
Canadian?
No.
So it's not Andrew Wiggins. Okay. One more. Give me a hint.
He used to play for Miami most recently.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
He's
Did
on
you know
Golden
that?
State?
Yeah, he's
He
on
is,
Golden
yeah.
State now.
But there you go. Jimmy Butler's coming for vengeance tonight against his former team. Plus 320 odds. Book it. Wow, there are some wonky odds in basketball. The Sacramento Kings are plus 1,000 underdogs against the OKC Thunder. That's crazy.
Well, OKC is like a super team.
Yeah, they've got the Canadian guy. Yeah.
Well, I got multiple Canadians.
Well, you know who I'm talking about.
yes.
The SGA kid. Yeah.
Yes. But also Lou Dort, who is Canadian as well. But I don't bet on basketball ever because you just do not know which players are going to sit out any given game. Right? You can bet on a team and then you watch the game and all of a sudden their best player is sitting on the sidelines in a parka and a toque. And sunglasses.
Unless
You're
you're
like,
part of the
there you
mafia, then you might know.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Who's Cooper
Flag?
Yeah. The Mavs.
He's Canadian, right?
No, he's not.
No.
Oh, all right.
Why'd you think he was Canadian?
I don't know.
You know what?
Golden State.
It is a fair assumption these days, though. There's enough good Canadian players where you're like, hey, that top pick might be Canadian because it actually happens now, which is kind of fun.
So is the Canadian Olympic team going to be like really good now?
It's been better. They've been competitive.
Yeah.
But
At the last Olympics, they kind of choked a little bit, but they played a pre-tournament exhibition game against the US, and I think they lost by like 9. And the US played most of their guys. Like LeBron was playing, Kevin Durant was playing, and it was competitive until like late in the fourth quarter. So they're good.
Canada's
Canada,
probably the equivalent of like Finland in hockey.
yeah. Like on any given day, they could pull off the upset, but realistically, like they're still a little bit below.
People don't want to. Well, I don't know. Maybe people do like my basketball conversation because there's a lot of reaction to this in the chat. But we got to get out of here. So plus 320, hammering it. Golden State Warriors money line plus 320 to take down.
Let's monitor this because if you
the Miami
win
Heat.
this one, then I think you got to ride this streak as long as you can take it for the NBA.
Also, yesterday, Callie Canuck pointing out you convinced me to take the Blues. So technically, that's your loss.
I mean, you forced me. I told you I'm not a vibes guy on a game-to-game basis.
I am Golden State, baby. My Warriors. Plus 320. You can get them. Plus 320 money line over on Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get on the game. Use the code NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. For my host, Harmon Dial, and our technical producer, Jacob Zar. My name is Jake Vajali. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Family Feud Thursday tomorrow. Don't miss it. We'll see you tomorrow. My name is Jake Vajali. Thanks so much for watching an episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.